guys, it's Kelly here at Kelly S, and this is my first ever attempt at a layout, so I'm really pleased with the way it turned out. I'd very much appreciate some constructive criticism, so let me know what you think. I start with a 12 by 12 piece of white cardstock and I spray the whole thing entirely in Goosebumps, and then I leave that for some time to dry. Then I get my texture paste, as you can see me doing here, and I just begin smearing the texture paste over the page, and I sort of do it in a bit of a reverse upside down L shape. I try my very best not to be neat with this, I want it all lumpy and bumpy. Once that's dry, I start with some sprays, and the sprays I'm using today are Fireworks in Summer Sky, Cosmic Shimmer Mist in Patina, Fireworks in Angel Pink, Saltwater Taffy by Lindy's Stamp Gang, Lindy's Stamp Gang in Well Watch Blue, Lindy's Stamp Gang in Tiffany's Blue, and Tattered Angel's Glimmer Mist in Teal High Heel. So what you can see me doing here is I'm tipping my page up to try and make the paint run to give me a really nice dripped effect. But that only really works at the bottom of the page, because the rest of the page where the texture paste is, it settles a bit more on the texture paste. What you just saw me do with the very pale pink colour was just spray it all over the background to bring out the Goosebumps that I sprayed on at the very beginning. As you can see me doing with my heat tool, I'm using my heat tool just to move the paint around the page a little bit. So you'll see me tipping the page up a lot because I want lots of different variants and shades of blue here. I must say guys, the Goosebumps spray in the background looks absolutely amazing, but you can't really see it on the video, so at the end there will be some still photos as well as a product list of everything that I've used below, but the still photos at the end will give you a much closer look at that wonderful texture in the background. What you just saw me using there was just a white spray, and that is just to lighten things up just a little bit around the edges where I oversprayed. Now I'm just going around the edges with my Tim Holtz Distress tool just to make the edges look a bit more tattered. Then I come back in to start spraying the first of my pinks, and this one you can see me using here is the Fireworks, and I sort of want that around the edge. I want the main focus to be the blue, and again you can see me using my heat tool just to move the paint around the page a bit. So I put that to one side to dry and start on in preparing my elements that I'm going to use for my layout. And this that you can see me painting here is the Sacrafters chipboard piece, and I'm just painting that up in some gesso to start with. And I'm sort of drying it as I go along because I want it to be quite a bright white colour. Here you can see I've got some more embellishments out, and I don't actually end up using all of them, but I'm preparing all of them for the layout anyway. And this is a white acrylic paint dabber, which is the easiest way to paint on the top of these wood products I've found. Once they're all dry, I come back in with the sprays that I used on the canvas, so I spray them in the same colours, and I just want them to have a very light colour, so a bit of white and a bit of colour. Some of the items I just leave white. Now I'm using a Sacrafters stencil and some texture paste just to add some bit more texture to the canvas, and I use this stencil, this is one of the Friends stencil, just in some random places, and I really want it in white because I want it all to everything to blend with the background. taken some cheesecloth and I'm spraying it in a very pale pink. That's the Lindsay's Stamp Gang Saltwater Taffy, the same colour that I've sprayed in the background, and a little bit of one of the blues as well, just to make sure that that blends in with everything else on the layout. Back to my chipboard piece, I'm now using a paint dabber brush, and what I'm doing is I'm just dabbing the paint on now just to give this chippy some extra texture. And what I actually do is I give it about 3 coats of gesso with the dabber brush, just to give it, like I said, a bit of texture so it looks a little bit like the goosebumps in the background. And then I use the same paint dabber to go over some of the elements that I painted earlier to give them a little bit of texture and just to dull down and mute the colours a little bit. I'm using the Tim Holtz Distress Ink in Tattered Rose to go all the way around the outside edge of the page. Now it's time to start putting my layout together, so I'm just used some Fabri-Tac to stick down the cheesecloth that we coloured earlier, and I'm cutting bits out of it as I go along to make sure that it's the right shape. And I've picked a picture of my daughters for this layout, and I've printed that in sepia tone, and I'm just going around and distressing the edges of that as well to make sure that everything ties together. Here I'm just trying to work out where I want to place everything, and I play around with that for a little while. I put a bit of cardboard on the back of the photo just to make it pop out a little bit and so that I can put some stuff behind it, and I just stick that down with a bit of Fabri-Tac as well. Spray a little bit of the white spray in the background just to bring out the photo a bit, and what you just saw me use there was just a water spray just to make that white paint run a little bit. So here I'm adhering the photo down with some hot glue, but unfortunately as it's still wet underneath it doesn't dry very well just yet, so I have to go back and re-glue it later. Then I glue down the chipboard piece with some Fabri-Tac, and I'm just trying to be really careful to make sure that the glue doesn't show around the edge. I've got my flowers out here, and the 3 flowers you can see me using right now are all by Petaloo, and they're just flowers from my stash. Those little clocks are from Sacrafters, and I adhere those down with some Fabri-Tac. Then I spell the word out, love, out across the top, and I start by hot gluing them, but that doesn't work too well, so I go back and re-adhere them with some Fabri-Tac later. Absolutely beautiful filigree heart I am going to stick on the side, sort of poking under from the photo and one of the flowers, and I adhere that with Fabri-Tac also. This flower cluster here is a little Prima spray from my stash, and I'm just working out now where I want to place that, and when I do want to stick that down I do end up hot gluing that. That blue flower there is a Recollections flower from my stash. And the white flower is also a Recollections flower, sorry, it's a Prima flower, and the one underneath that is a Petaloo flower. Now all that's left to do is to add the word memories, and that about completes my layout. So thank you very much for watching, guys. All the Sacrafters products that I have used will be listed below, and there'll be some still photos at the end, so make sure you stay tuned for the close-up of that goosebumps spray in the background because it really is very pretty. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye!